Radha LondonIshvara.
Jai 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 Radhe.
Sankirtan Ki Jai.
Is it possible we can turn the projector off? Because it's right on Maharaj's face.
Yeah.
Can we turn it off?
Unless you can shoot Maharaj for it doesn't bother me.
But what bothers the recording? Yeah. No, we just turn it off, right?
It's just for the verse.
The verse, we get the verse.
I'll turn it off.
Can I have the baritone? And the verse? Yes. Where are you? First canto.
First canto, 16th chapter. First verse.
You started over? You went through the whole Bhagavatam?
Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the lotus feet of Radha LondonIshvara. This morning we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 16, which is entitled How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. So I'll just go through the Sanskrit and the translation and the purport for want of time. Sutta Uvacha Tata Parikshit Dvija Bharya Shikshaya Mahi Maha Bhagavata Shasha Shaha Yatahi Sutyam Abhijata Kovidha Samirishan Sama Dishan Vipra Mahat Gunash Tata. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada. Sutta Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas, Maharaj Parikshit then began to rule over the world as a great devotee of the Lord under the interactions of the best of the twice-born Brahmins. He ruled by those great qualities which were foretold by expert astrologers at the time of his birth. Do you want to read the purport?
Yes. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. At the time of Maharaj Parikshit's birth, the expert astrologer Brahmanas foretold some of his qualities. Maharaj Parikshit developed all those qualities, being a great devotee of the Lord. The real qualification is to become a devotee of the Lord, and gradually all the good qualities worthy of possession develop. Maharaj Parikshit was a Mahabhagavata, or a first-class devotee, who was not only versed in the science of devotion, but also able to convert others to become devotees by his transcendental instructions. Maharaj Parikshit was, therefore, a devotee of the first order, and thus he used to consult great sages and learned brahmanas who could advise him by the Shastras how to execute the state administration. Such great kings were more responsible than modern elected executive heads because they obliged the great authorities by following their instructions left in Vedic literature. There was no need for impractical fools to enact daily a new legislative bill and to conveniently alter it again and again to serve some purpose. The rules and regulations were already set forth by great sages like Manu, Yajnavalkya, Parashara, and other liberated sages, and the enactments were all suitable for all ages in all places. Therefore, the rules and regulations were standard and without flaw or defect. Kings like Maharaj Parikshit had their council of advisors, and all the members of that council were either great sages or brahmanas of the first order. They did not accept any salary, nor had they any necessity for such salaries. The state would get the best advice without expenditure. They were themselves samadarshi, equal to everyone, both man and animal. They would not advise the king to give protection to man and instruct him to kill the poor animals. Such council members were not fools or representatives to compose a fool's paradise. They were all self-realized souls, and they knew perfectly well how all living beings in the state would be happy, both in this life and in the next. They were not concerned with the hedonistic philosophy of eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. They were philosophers in the real sense, and they knew well what is the mission of human life. Under all these obligations, the advisory council of the king would give correct directions, and the king or executive head, being himself a qualified devotee of the Lord, would scrutinizingly follow them for the welfare of the state. The state in the days of Maharaj Yudhishthir or Maharaj Parikshit was a welfare state in the real sense of the term, because no one was unhappy in that state, be he man or animal. Maharaj Parikshit was an ideal king for a welfare state of the world.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
So in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear some of the duties of a Vedic king. Not only a Vedic king, but anyone who takes a position of ruling over a country or a society, president, prime minister, even a dictator. The specific duties of the kingly order are described in more detail in what are called the Dharma Shastras, like Manasumhita, and especially in the Atharva Veda. The Atharva Veda, which I'm sure no one here has read, you only read it if you're a prince and royalty, and then you study it minutely. Atharva Veda deals with ruling over the citizens, how to take taxes, which is not an easy thing. Conflict, resolving conflicts in the temple or the society or the country. There's always some conflict. How to engage in warfare, how to mint money, these type of subject matters. This is Dharma. Everything's covered. And these are things, again, that princes would study in order to become kings, to rule or to govern society. However, the kings of yore were not solely interested in their citizens becoming prosperous. They were most interested in their citizens' spiritual salvation. Two things. Often life is about balance. So prosperity, so one is not struggling, one has time to chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said, if you've got time, chant Hare Krishna. Sometimes it's hard to find time. So there's a logical way to rule this world, because this creation is logical. From the atom up to the cosmos, it's all functioning in a proper way, which means there's an intelligent person behind it. Therefore, a special feature of the Vedic king was that he ruled in cooperation with the Brahminical class, the Brahmanas, the priests. Why? Well, a king, although a very powerful individual, we could say he was somewhat influenced by the mode of passion. Why? Because he had to deal with all this minting money and warfare and conflicts and taxes. You know, you can't just be home, you know, Hare Krishna. You can't go to war with your bead bag. You go to war with your sword. So, you know, to swing and chop and avert, you know, you have to be in the mode of passion. But doing that for Krishna is also devotional service, like Arjuna. He's one of the greatest devotees of all time. And what was his business? Chop, chop, chop. Sometimes. So that passionate spirit had to be there. And you know, when we work in the mode of ignorance, we work in the mode of passion, or even mundane goodness, sometimes we don't see things as they are. Bhagavad Gita, as it is. We say in French, le tel qu'il est. So therefore you have a council of Brahmins who are situated in goodness, or even better, Shuddha Sattva. The mode of goodness, you could say, is a stepping stone into transcendence. That's why we all live in the mode of goodness, and many of us become brahmanas to serve the deities and to give counsel and give lectures. But the mode of goodness is a stepping stone, but it can also be conditioned by the mode of goodness. So I'm vegetarian, I'm vegan, I don't wear leather, I protect the cows, I live in the forest, I cultivate the land with natural fertilizers. Good. But you can become attached to that mode of goodness and not even become a devotee of the Lord. Sometimes, you know, the people in the mode of goodness, we meet yogis. Well, these are yogis, all due respect. But sometimes they're the hardest ones to make into Hare Krishna devotees. Of course, the holy name is all powerful. So mode of goodness can be a little bit, can also condition us. We have to go to Suddha Sattva. Suddha Sattva means transcendence. We have to transcend this world altogether to properly worship Krishna. But there's a book called Niti Shastra. Niti Shastra was written by Chanaka Pandit. Prabhupada said he wasn't a Vaishnava, although he very much respected Vishnu. But he could really see the world for what it is. Krishna also describes what this world is. And I often say, eloquence is truth spoken concisely, not a long-winded lecture. Just tell it straight, go to the quick, tell it what it is. So Krishna summarizes the material world. Dukkalayam Shashvatam. You take that. Dukkalayam Shashvatam. It's a temporary place full of suffering and problems. So the king, he had a council of Brahmins in the mode of goodness. They could see the material world as it is. I'm sure many of them were reading Niti Shastra, how to live in this world in the most practical way. Of course, everything becomes topsy-turvy from time to time in this world, but there's certain laws of nature, there's a certain harmony to the way that Krishna created it. One time in Geneva, Prabhupada said, this material world is actually mystical. How is running? And so there's a way to do things. Like sometimes people catch it. What was that book? Seven
Habits of a successful person.
Yeah, seven what?
7 habits of highly effective.
7 habits of highly effective people. Kind of click into how to work into this world. We're also interested. Sri Prahlad has written a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita from a managerial point of view. How managers can take Krishna's advice, how to live, in an intelligent way in this world, so that you can practice Krishna consciousness amongst the topsy-turviness. So he may have been tinged, of course not Maharaj Parikshit is a pure devotee, but we're talking about general leaders. They had Brahmins to help them. These Khatris were very powerful individuals. Soryam Teja Vitir Daksham Yudhe Chapya Palayanam. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for Kshatriyas. The term Kshatriya means one who protects from hurt. Traya means hurt, and no. Backwards and forwards. The scholars here, Kshatriya. Anyway, it means to protect from hurt. So who are the Kshatriyas protecting from hurt? The innocent members of society, who may not be able to protect themselves. Take shelter of the strong so that they can go on with their valuable service to society, like children, ladies, cows, and brahmanas. Brahmanas, you don't see brahmanas in the gym. Well, brahmanas were in the gym because brahmanas didn't need those big muscles. They didn't need a six-pack because their contribution, their strength was preaching Krishna consciousness, elevating people beyond the three modes of material. That takes strength, spiritual strength. So brahmanas, they generally have a big belly, kind of look like Ganesh, because they're at the temple. They're sitting all day. They're not doing 10,000 steps. They remain healthy, of course, because Krishna consciousness is a healthy way of life. Quoted, I think it was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. A healthy life, like Lord Chaitanya taught. We live simple living with high thinking, so we're healthy. Prabhupada would always sign his letters, hope this meets you in good health, your ever well wisher. So but Brahmins would be in the temple a lot, so they would, the priests, they get the maha into the little valley. They would sit like that, but they can't go to war. Everyone has a duty, varnashram, dharma, and you do your duty, and then society is complete. So these qualities, heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership, these provided the material leadership to rule a kingdom. They had to be strong. Sometimes they even went to the forest to hunt. A Kshatriya was allowed to go to the forest to hunt, like deer and animals like this. It seems very cruel. So they honed in their skills like this. They were allowed to do that. Sometimes they drank a little wine. Kshatriyas, not talking about pure devotee leaders, but because they had to fight, so they needed food. And they had to do these things. These things were sanctioned to a certain degree for the Kshatriyas. But their ultimate leadership, of course, depended on helping people advance in Krishna consciousness. But without the spiritual guidance of the Brahmanas, their leadership was not complete. Again, what is the ultimate definition of leadership? Leader. Lead to what? I think it was partially quoted in the purport. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. When I was a young boy, I used to chant that for months. That was from the gladiators. You're a young boy. Girls are sugar and spice and everything nice. And boys are frogs and tails and puppy dog tails. Frogs and snails and puppy dog tails. So boys are boys. So I get a book on the gladiators, and they're fighting. Mom, I want to be a gladiator. No way, son. You become a doctor or a lawyer. I want to be a Hare Krishna. No way. So eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. This is many leaders are leading the people in this philosophy of life. But what's a real leader? Guru nasha shat sajano nasat shat pita nasava yani nasat syat. The verse goes on. No one should become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a king, or even a worshipable demigod, unless one can deliver his dependents from the repetition of birth and death. This is leadership. To lead. So physician, heal thyself. If you're going to lead people to the ultimate goal, whatever is your position as a mom or as a dad or a spiritual master or a king, a demigod, you have to be Krishna conscious so you can fulfill the ultimate response. Lead your people, lead your flock back home. Thus the king in Vedic culture, he received spiritual guidance from the Brahmanas. And with the help of the Brahmanas, he was conversant with the science of God, laws of God. Therefore, we hear how in Vedic culture that the sannyasis or the sadhus, they would travel. And they would sometimes go to the palace of the king. Like, what's a sadhu going to the palace of a king? Is he cheating? He wants to get some extra sweets. He wants to get a donation. No. He's going there for the purpose of enlightening the king. And the king would often have audience. The sadhus would come, and the king to whom everyone is bowing down, Vive le roi, vive le roi, in French, long live the king. Everyone's bowing down to the king. But when the sadhu, the king's in these robes and the diamonds and rubies and emeralds and, golden staff and a sword and people standing behind him. When the sadhu would walk in with a gamsha or a torn cloth with a mala, the king would fall flat onto the ground and his helmet would roll across the assembly. Oh, these were Vedic kings. They bowed down to the sadhus. They were dependent on the sadhus, fulfilling their duties and going back home, back to Godhead themselves. So much so that when they reached the ripe old age of 50 or 60 or 70, whatever, by dint of hearing from the sadhus who were coming regularly and enlightening them in Krishna consciousness, eventually they would give up their posts and take the same cloth, the same mala, and walk to the forest of the Himalayas and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So a king was therefore conversant with the laws of God. How can a king or any other leader govern without being conversant with the laws of God? The laws of God in this material world are not like the arbitrary laws of mundane politicians. There's laws of nature which a ruler has to be conscious of, and the sadhus would enlighten them about those laws. Like the law of karma, which influence all people at all times. A king had to know these things. He didn't just know the laws of taxing and arbitrary dealings. He had to know the more subtle laws, how the laws of nature are working. He had to be aware of these things. So the sadhus would come and they would teach. They would come in and in the government they would inject religion. Nowadays people want secular governments. They want to separate the church from the state. Why? Well, this is due to the atrocities in the past of church leaders or maybe smarta brahmanas in our culture or devious rulers and devious spiritual practitioners in the Islamic tradition, whatever. But Prabhupada said the misuse of something doesn't mean the original thing is wrong. So people sometimes often use religion for the wrong purpose, and sometimes, the spiritual people become involved in politics, it becomes a big mess because they have ambitious purposes. But spiritual leaders must be involved in politics to a certain degree in order to ensure people are aware of the absolute laws governing this world. Like, don't eat meat, don't take intoxication, don't engage in illicit sex, and don't gamble. This is what people do. So that the sadhus have to say, yes, but if you do that, you're going to get a reaction. You're going to get next life you'll be poor, You'll be sick, you'll be mentally disturbed, you'll have lots. So don't, follow the laws of nature. Understand the law of karma and refrain from sinful activity. There's laws. There's good laws too in material nature. Krishna says, Sahajana Paja Shrushtva Puruvacha Pajapati. In the beginning I sent forth generations of men and demigods and blessed them by the performance of sacrifice. That by the performance of the sacrifice, all material necessities will be bestowed upon you. That's the law of nature. Therein we see the secret to material prosperity, which we need. It's the performance of yajna, sacrifice to the Lord. Modern leaders think that prosperity comes through economic development, having G7 meetings, building industry, factories. But we know that without the mercy of Krishna, nothing can be successful. Nitya Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. And of all the eternal beings, there's one who's supplying the necessities of everyone. You have to acknowledge him. Nothing here has come about by chance. We take it for granted. The water we're drinking, the earth we're stepping on, the vegetables we eat, where do they come from? Aham sarvasya pavavo matta sarvam pravartate. Krishna says he's the source of all that is material and spiritual. So if someone gives you a gift and you don't say thank you, can you expect more gifts? My mother trained me like that. Since a little boy, I got a little tap many times on the cheek. Say thank you, son. Oh, say thank you. Thank you. And when Christmas would come and I get lots of presents, Mom, thanks, Dad. I hope next Christmas I get more. So if someone gives you a gift, you should acknowledge it at least. So this is the meaning of yajna. Brahmins would teach like this. The laws of nature. One law of nature is that nature's there, but whose nature is it? Who's given it? Who's maintaining it? Who will ultimately destroy it? Krishna. So you should say, you should say thank you. Merci beaucoup. Muchas gracias. You should say obrigado. That's Brazil. Obrigado. Anyone from Brazil? Obrigado. So how do you say thank you? Yajna vai Vishnu. And then Krishna blesses. Through the demigods, they provide all the necessities of life. So even for material prosperity, we perform sacrifices. Yajnas. Yajna vai Vishnu. Otherwise, Prabhupada said, to accept some gifts of the Lord, this law of nature, without acknowledging them, means we're thieves. And Prabhupada said a thief is always punishable by the laws of nature. So because people are not acknowledging these basic necessities of life, Krishna is restricting them gradually. And you see on the earth planet, gradually these necessities are being restricted. So the Vedic kings, through the Brahmanas, they knew that even for material prosperity, we have to do something. We have to acknowledge God. And therefore the kings, on behalf of the people, they'd have big yajnas. Big yajnas. Huge fire sacrifices. Svaha, Svaha. And being pleased with the yajna, because the yajna is for Vishnu, for Krishna. The devatas are all devotees of Krishna. So on behalf of Krishna, they would come and accept the offerings in Vedic culture. Even to the common man, they could see the devatas hovering above the fire sacrifice, accepting the yajna, accepting the what's going into the yajna-shala. Common people could see the devatas. That's how elevated Vedic culture was. They would hover, and they would take, and they'd offer to Krishna. Then prosperity would reign. There has to be yajna. They knew the start. And to do the yajna, where did the king get all the money to do the yajna? Be practical here. They're very practical persons and very transcendental persons, the kings. They tax the people. Tax. Nobody likes to be taxed today because we know the tax goes into the pockets of the politicians. I better be careful. won't grant me another visa into London. Well, we heard your class. It was on the internet. You're not welcome here. No, but I didn't mean it like that. No. But the taxes, there has to be taxes. It's not wrong to tax if the money is being used to buy ghee and grains for the sacrificial fire. Of course, in this age, these type of yajnas are not possible. So, therefore, there's a concession. Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam. Lo, nasteva, nasteva, nasteva. If the governments of the world simply encourage people to go out and Harinam, believe me, the whole atmosphere would change. Yeah, but that's an Indian thing, it comes from India. No, this movement doesn't come from India. This movement comes from the spiritual world, Prabhus. This is not Indian movement. It appeared in India, Bharat, because Prabhupada says in his commentaries in the Bhagavatam that the most pious people in the universe take birth in India. At least they used to. Anyway, most pious people take birth in India. It's still to this day. I did a recent tour of South India, and many families came with the children, and those devotee families, they were exceptional. Made my hair stand on end sometimes. They were so enthusiastic for Krishna consciousness, and some of them I know now, they're teenagers. They have no teenage problems. They're chanting 16 rounds, going to the temple. Many of them are getting initiated in their teenage years. So, if the governments could get the world to chant this universal process which comes from the spiritual world of chanting Hare Krishna, you'd see some change. Actually, I think that because the movement has been present in this world for a good 50 years now, if it wasn't for the Hare Krishna movement, this world would be in a much more difficult state. They can't perceive it like that. But this chanting of Hare Krishna is so powerful. If it can deliver Jagai and Mare, if it can deliver tigers and bears and snakes in the Jarikanta forest, certainly it can deliver the animal-like people in Kali Yuga. So that chanting's going on now. It's not every town and village, but almost. So certainly there are some significant changes. We're holding back the tide of Kali Yuga. This movement's actually holding back the tide of Kali Yuga. It has great change. I remember I was told that in the 1930s there was a plague in Bengal, terrible plague, and it was centered around Calcutta, terrible plague. People were dying like flies. So one sadhu, he organized a Harinam party. He was from Navadvip. He organized a Harinam party. They went to Calcutta, and for 1 week they chanted all over the streets, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the plague went away. And it was in all the newspapers. Of course, we don't chant Hare Krishna necessarily because we want some material benefit. But just to show the power, Lord Chaitanya allowed this to happen, just to show the power of the holy name, by the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, the plague went away. So the king's responsibility was to ensure that people live prosperous lives by performing yajna. We're not against prosperity. Not against prosperity. Because as a human form of life, we're not meant to live like cats and dogs in the dust, in the dirt, in caves. We can live prosperous lives as long as we use that platform for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Now, another duty of the king was to ensure there was no sinful activity going on. Human society is sometimes compared to a social body, and if a body is sick, it can't function properly. So a sick social body is one that engages in sinful activities. And the result is there's mass suffering. Just like we have our individual karma, our family karma, there can be national karma, And there can be world karma. You may be a good guy, but if the world's engaging in sinful activity, you may also be affected. Like one time Prabhupada actually wrote that World War II was the result of mass cow slaughter. It looks like, Hitler and Stalin and Churchill, these guys are all on the cows. But the bigger picture was people were killing mother cow everywhere. Nowadays, there's mass abortion. So, uwaga, we say in Polish, uwaga. What we have to see in the future, I don't know. Hare Krishna. So, what is sinful activity according to Shastra? Again, meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. Unfortunately, we see that in Kali Yuga, it's the leaders themselves that encourage such sinful activity. Like in my country, Mr. I want them to let me back into America as well. Everyone knows a particular trial he's going through with, I won't get into it. Anyway. He's not embarrassed at all. Yeah, I paid her money. These are the leaders encouraging. The government authorizes animal slaughter, they tax the liquor, maintain houses of prostitution, and encourage gambling casinos. So no wonder people are suffering. So such rulers who, you could say, encourage this, they're predicted, it was predicted. In 12th canto it's mentioned, Evam Prajabir Dushtabir, Akunye Kushti Mandale. Don't be surprised. As the earth thus becomes crowded with a corrupt population, whoever amongst any of the social classes shows himself to be the strongest will gain political power. Who's the strongest? How much money does Trump have? He's got a lot of money. These people push themselves in. They give bribes. They give to companies and people. So whoever's the strongest will have power. And nowadays the power is in the money. Dashu Prayeshu Rajashu. The kings will be mostly thieves. Bhagavatam says. Prajahi Bhlugdai Rajanyar Nignayar Dashu Dhanmabihi. Losing their wives and properties to such voracious and merciless rulers who will behave no better than ordinary thieves, the citizens will flee to the mountains and the forests. We don't see that yet, but this will come one day. And as a result of causing so much suffering to the people by not protecting them, Kshatriya, by discouraging sinful activity, modern leaders often die a violent death, assassination, some horrible disease. Because Mano Samhita says that a king shares 1/6 of the sinful reactions of the people. Oh, that's not very much. But if you live in the country, there's 33 million people, and they're getting 1/6 of their reactions there, don't be surprised. I visited a cemetery, where was that? I think it's somewhere here in England. I think Prahlad, you also visited the cemetery. And it was the kings.
Westminster Abbey?
Westminster Abbey. You go see all the kings. And their date of birth is there, and their date of death is there. You do the math. This one died 30. This one died 33. This one died at 18. This one was killed just when he was born. You see that they're all very, they die very young. So, a leader should discourage sinful activities, but Padma says there's two classes of men and women in this world, divine and demoniac. So we can't, this world will never be a utopia. There'll always be divine and demoniac people. So sin will continue to exist because the cardinal sin is to forget Krishna and come to this world. And then the mathematical equation, which is off, it becomes multiplied and it becomes worse and worse and worse. If you have a wrong mathematical calculation and then you triple it or double it, it becomes worse. Like 2 + 2 is 5. I'm sorry, sir. No, 2 + 2 is 5. And you keep multiplying, it gets worse. So original sin is we forgot Krishna, we come to this material world, and through our sinful activities, we continue to rebel against him. It's going to get worse and worse. So there'll be nice people, there'll be pious Christians, pious Muslims, transcendental devotees, but there'll always be demoniac people. So the Kshatriya, the king, to protect the pious and to protect the Hare Krishnas, he has to be strong sometimes. Sometimes he has to deal with these rascals. He can't be afraid. He has to lead the army. He has to be at the front of the army, leading the battle. So these people must be cut down. Therefore, Chanakya Pandit says, control a bull with a ring in his nose. Control an elephant with a goad. Control a horse with a whip, and control a rascal man with a stick. Or a 38 revolver. Whatever is necessary. The king would catch a well-known murderer. There are many witnesses. He would immediately execute the man. Nowadays, out of sentiment and weakness, there's no death sentence. But Manasamhita says that if a murderer is not executed, next life he has to suffer for his crime. But if he's executed from the sin of murder, then he's freed from that karma. Interesting. So kings of old, they had to be very powerful, courageous men. They were tall, they were well built, they were handsome, they had nice clothes, and they had all the facilities for, enjoying, so that they, could just go out and fight. A Brahmana's strength is in his learning. A Kshatriya's strength is in his army. A Vaishya's strength is in his wealth, and a Sudra's strength is in his service to the higher orders. So these men, they would go into battle, and therefore they were respected by the people. Like the Brahman, he's proud of his Brahmana thread. He's been graced with the sacred thread. A Kshatriya, he's proud of his wounds, his scars. Nowadays we have this medicine that takes the scar away, takes my pimples away. But Kshatriyas, they were wounded. It means they were in the battle. They would have one eye, or half an ear, a big scar across here. They didn't need tattoos to show they were tough guys. I'm cool. I'm cool. Look at my tattoo. I've got Sri Ram here or something. I've got Srinivas. Where's your scar for going into battle and protecting the people? Those are the tough guys. When I was young, it was a skull and crossbones, or the United States Marine Corps. Once I was in the military. We went downtown in San Diego to get tattoos because we were like soldiers, So we're in line, and my first friend, he got a tattoo, United States Marine Corps. And my other friend, he got a bulldog over here. My other friend, he got a skull. And I came and I said, nope. Oh, you're a sissy. I said, sorry guys, I don't think that's me. Yeah, but you're a soldier. Thank God I didn't do it, Gurudev's got a skull and bones tattoo. Kill the Kong. So they were brave men, and they earned, they had the scars to show like that. So the perfect example of such a brave king was Maharaj Parikshit, who personally, as we know from the Bhagavatam, he would tour his kingdom, and he would curb down the miscreants. He came across a rogue who was killing a cow. He had raised. So he came and he raised his sword. Surrender, or you die. So this courage was admired by the people. The king would come back from battle, bleeding, and "Viva la roi! He protected us." You're grateful. Someone protects you. Someone gives you shelter, material shelter, or spiritual shelter. You become indebted to that person. So this was their beauty. It's also said the beauty of a Brahmin is not his scars, but the beauty of a Brahmin is his speech. The beauty of a Khatri is his courage, which is demonstrated by his scars, the beauty of a Vaishya is opulence, and a Sudra sees himself as beautiful by his dress. If he's dressed very nicely, he's thinking, I dress nicely. This is Sudra mentality. I dress very nicely. So I'm okay. Now, it wasn't just the kings, it was also the queens. The queens, they were also Katrainis. We have Brahmacharis and Brahmacharinis, so I'm just coining a phrase here. They were also trained if necessary. The ladies would help in the affairs of the palace. Palaces is often intrigue and politics, and there's this and that. Things have to be done, and things have to be arranged. And who's going to counsel the ladies? There's also problems there, and finances, etc. So this often fell to the ladies, the queens, the princesses. They were taught by their mothers and their grandmothers like this. And they would also demonstrate skills of leadership. For example, when Krishna answered the letter of Rukmini, he was fighting Jarasandha for the 27th time. And Rukmini, who never met Krishna, just heard about Krishna, fell in love with Krishna by hearing about him. Her father wanted to marry her to Shishupal.
No, Krishna.
Huh?
Father wants to marry Krishna.
Rukmini
Brother.
wanted to marry her to Shishupal. Yeah. Can you imagine? Your father says, marry Shishupal. Shishupal came out of the womb cursing Krishna. Like, what's the first word of your baby? Krishna tolerated it 99 times. And then that's the head coming off. So Rukmini was to be married to Shishupal. But she fell in love with Krishna, not that she ever met Krishna or was with Krishna. Shows the power of Shravanam Kirtanam, Krishna Shmaranam. This is our hope. This is where our hope lies. Every day we're chanting, we're appealing to Krishna. Every day we're hearing about Krishna. And he's so adorable, he's so wonderful, he's so amazing. We give our hearts gradually. And one day when the heart is completely pure, he'll appear before you. So Rukmini wrote a letter, and Krishna was so touched by that letter, he left the battle. So he became Ranchor, a coward. Those in Gujarat, they know what I'm talking about. There's a temple, Ranchor, the temple of the coward. Krishna left the battlefield, but we glorify him. He left the battlefield to save his devotees, killing all the Rakshasa, the demons. Okay, that's good, but maybe it's more important to rescue his pure devotee. That's how we see. Oh, glories to Ranchor, Krishna. I've been to that temple. It's not very big. When you get in there, you have to take darshan like this. That's where I got COVID. 1,000 people. Jai Ranchor. Jai. But Krishna went to save her, and then when he took her away on the chariot, he had to fight. So Rukmini took the reins. Rukmini took the reins. She, there's 16 horses. You have to, you just can't one day get on a, you have to learn to ride a bicycle. What to speak, a chariot with 16 horses? She took the reins. Yeah! Yeah! And she going between those shooting arrows. This is princess. We want to be princess. Dress up. I'm a princess. Yeah, well, take the reins of the horse. Go through a battlefield. She got through because she was trained. I was studying in the Vrindavan Research Institute, and many of you know there's many shastras there, and there's dharma shastras as well, and accounts of history in India. And I was reading one story where there was a siege on a huge like chateau or castle, province or something. There were many thousands of people living there. And there was a siege. Some opposition, some enemy had come. And the siege went on for many months, so many of the men, most of the men who went out to fight outside the castle, they died. And even the king died. The king went out and he was killed. So the only person left was the queen, and mostly ladies. So those who were attacking the castle, they were like, "Oh, now we're going to really enjoy. We're going to conquer them." So the bad guys, the leader, he sent a note. He said, "We won't come in and kill you if you come out before us, and then we'll accept you, take you to our kingdom." So the queen said, okay, we'll do like that. There were still enough men there. So what she did is she dressed the men like ladies and put them in palanquins. There was like 1,500 palanquins. So these soldiers, the last remnants of the army, the soldiers, they were dressed like this, and they were in these palanquins being carried by ladies. And their swords were all there. This is history. And they went into the center of the camp because all the greedy men were there. "I'm going to take that girl, I'm going to take that girl, I'm going to take that girl." And then the big Rakshasa, whoever he was, I get to choose first. So they came in the middle, and they made the palanquins like this. They were being carried, and then the 2 or 3 of them went around the leader, and the men who were dressed like ladies in the palanquins, they jumped out and immediately fought because they weren't prepared. They thought the battle was over. The bad guys, they put their weapons. They're just there to enjoy the women. They had no. And the queen, she was in the middle one. She got up and chopped off the head of the leader. All glories to you, ladies. It's a true story. How intelligent was that queen? This is an interesting class. So, people were happy under the rule of such kings and queens at many times. In summary, because the kings knew the laws of nature, they knew the laws of the spiritual world, because they were enlightened by the Brahmanas. And they made people's lives prosperous. They protected the innocent, and they encouraged religious activities. They didn't say what religion, what particular practice you had to follow, but you had to follow the principles of religion. Cleanliness, truthfulness, mercy, austerity. And for the most part, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So I would say that the modern day politicians would do well to read these verses on the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the government should pass a law that all aspiring practicing politicians should go through a study of the Srimad Bhagavatam with Sri Prahlad. I don't know if you know Prahlad regularly, once or twice a week.
Twice a week.
Twice a week he lectures on Bhagavatam. And you're up to the 10th canto. He's been doing it for, like I was lecturing on Vrindavan, am lecturing on Vrindavan for many years. He took the Bhagavatam as a whole. And twice a week he studies, he's a very excellent preacher, Sri Prahlad. And he's been studying Bhagavatam, he speaks, so you should link up and hear his lectures on the Bhagavatam. You have a YouTube channel, right? Yes, Sri Prahlad.
Thank you, Richard.
Give him a big round of applause. I also turn into his lectures from time to time, and then I give a lecture. Wow, Maharaj, that was so intelligent. Yes. We traveled together for 15 years, so we know each other's lectures. He could have easily given this lecture today. So please tune into his lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam twice weekly, Sri Prahlad Das. Go to his YouTube channel. They're very enlightening. It's very important. And who's the Prime Minister right now?
Rishi Sunak.
Sir, I think you should have been here today for this class. I heard he's losing his popularity. You should just come and go back to Parliament and say, I have decided, I have taken the dust from the feet of Shri Radha LondonIshvara and bow down to Srila Prabhupada. I want everyone now in England to follow the 4 rules and regulations. No more reading, no more intoxication, no more listening, no gambling. Everyone must chant 16 rounds a day. Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And the Harinam Paridhan, Oxford Street, it should be shown on live view, and the whole country should watch every day. Thank you very much. Shri Baba ki, Shri Baba Deva ki, Gauri Thai ki, Shri Raj Govardhan Lalavan Sivala ki, Shri Radha LondonIshvara, Shri Prabhupada's favorite deities ki. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I wanted to mention that today they've asked me to speak at the Bhaktivedanta Manor at 4 o'clock, so I'm going to take advantage of that opportunity to glorify my dear godbrother Gopal Krishna Maharaj, to recount his wonderful service, lifetime of service to Srila Prabhupada. So I would think it'd be nice if you could come and hear glories of such a stalwart, really, strong word, a stalwart disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who really achieved above and beyond the call of duty in his service to Srila Prabhupada. There's 20 temples in Delhi, magnificent temples of deities and puja and observance of all religious festivals and Harinam and preaching. So we must honor His Divine Grace, Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So if you can make it, please do it at 4 o'clock. I'll speak about it. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Indradyumna Swami ki Jai!
Sadhus aren't supposed to speak about themselves, but I have a new book. The book's not about me, it's about Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada. The adventures of traveling around the world and introducing Krishna consciousness to people. It's a difficult task because people come here to forget God. So to try to remind them is difficult, but we see many miracles in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. How people become transformed by meeting devotees and chanting Hare Krishna, taking prasadam, even against their own will almost. They become interested or they partake in the Sankirtan movement. So this is, my new book is called Adventures of a Traveling Monk. It's a collection of certain diary chapters for the last 20 years that Sri Prahlad and my god sisters Sitala and my disciple Mandiramani, they told the chapters they felt would be most appreciated by the public. Public also likes to read adventurous stories and diaries, don't they? So this is like seeing the world through the vision of Bhagavad Gita. And they took the chapters that would be most understood by the general public. They edited them a lot. And HarperCollins, which is one of the main publishers in the world, they got wind of it and they contacted me. And they said, we want to print your book. They got a bit of a draft, HarperCollins. And then Penguin contacted me. We want your book. And there was this battle between HarperCollins and Penguin, back and forth. So how much? What are your? I think I like it. No, listen. HarperCollins won, and usually it takes 9 months to a year to print it. They liked it. The main guy in India, the main HarperCollins guy, he said, I read it. I couldn't put it down. I stayed up all night. So they pushed it forward in 12 weeks. Wow. The background to the work was done by Prahlad and Sitala and Mandiramani and others. They worked for a good year and a half to finalize everything. And then I asked Radhanath Maharaj. He wrote a blurb. Indradyumna Swami shares the spiritual treasures of his heart. Let us now join him in an unforgettable adventure. And Gauranga I can't read it because they say nice things, but Jay Satiwari, everyone's journey looks different, but this book will give you the courage to walk your own. So, yeah, it's really interesting. You won't be able to put it down. And I have one copy. I'm going to auction it. Actually, these are the first copies we sold yesterday, but really these are the first ones that just went on the stores. It's in every bookstore in India, almost, and it's in every airport and train station now. They really want to push it. They want to make it a million seller.
Go.
So it's not about me. It's about them.
Hari.
I'm just the instrument. And it's just wonderful to see how their mercy is unfolding around the world. These are all really, it's like, wow, did that really happen? Yes. Vlad was there to see most of it. So we're selling it for, it's really expensive. It's 200 pounds a book. But for everyone here today, it's 10 pounds. Right? Yesterday we sold 500 copies for 200. No, it's 500 pounds. But really, I'm just trying to get the cost of the book in a little bit more, just so to help with our travels. But just really want to, spread Prabhupada's glories and Lord Chaitanya's glories. So, if you'd like one, I can even sign it today.
Hari.
Okay. So, what happens next? 9 o'clock. What happens?
We can have a queue here for devotees.
But I think there's Prashadam, no?
There's Prashadam here.
Is Prashadam at night?
Downstairs.
They serve downstairs.
Go downstairs.
Yes.
Okay, so I can sit here for a little while. I don't know, maybe a couple of you want to book. I'll sign it. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Okay. You got it?
Can I take a look? Can I take a look? Can I see?
We take card as well if anyone.